Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, December the 9th, year 2015. This is show number 1072. I'm your host, Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining me. You'll see that there's no, in that window over here, there's no co-host. Kim is not here for the first time in, first time in 10 months. Kim will not be joining us on the show tonight, and she's not likely to be joining us ever again. She decided to go back to an old boyfriend. I tried my best to make it work, and before someone asked, no, I didn't screw it up this time. She just thinks she'll be happier with him than she was with me. I love her, I miss her, and I know you all will too. If you'd like to tell her how much you miss her, her Twitter name is YML_Kim. Please send your thanks to her for being on the show for the past 10 months. I'm going to miss her. She'll always be welcome back on the show. I invited her on the show, and she said no, and I understand why, but it's an open invitation to her. So let's get on with it, shall we? On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about the Apple battery case. Apple announced a Mophie-like external battery case for the iPhone 6S, I believe, the 6. And apparently the internet lost their minds over this. The amount of, as I said on The Loop, electronic ink that's been shed over this is just amazing. It's kind of odd and weird and strange, and we'll talk a little bit about that with Jim Dalrymple, along with the Apple Watch, a big price cut on the Apple Watch, $100 off some models. We'll talk about that and whether or not that will affect your purchasing decisions this Christmas. I also got an email from a listener about Flickr, asking what it was, how I use it, how they can use it, and things like that. So we'll talk a bit about Flickr later on in the show. And later on, we're also going to give away an Apple TV. Woohoo! Thanks very much to our Secret Santa. We're going to give away a 128 gigabyte Apple TV to a lucky listener on tonight's show. If you haven't got your entry form in by now, it's too late. Sorry. Not going to accept anymore. That virtual hat is locked. Only those folks who've already put an entry form in are eligible to win later on in the show. So stick with us through that, and maybe you'll be a winner, hopefully. As always, please join us in the IRC chat room. We've all got our good friends in the IRC chat room. I want to say a big special shout out to Monty, who he and I had the longest conversation I've ever had with another man on the phone last night. And thank you very, very much, Monty. I really appreciate all your support and your advice and your help and just listening. Same with my good friend Vito Mori up there in Prince George, and also Mo Mosquito in the IRC chat room. Thanks to all you guys for helping me out in the past couple of weeks. I really, really appreciate your counsel. It's the best way to put it. How many of you use an alarm clock to get up in the morning on your phone or on your iPad? I saw this, and it just struck me as funny. It's an alarm clock for women. That's who it's targeted at. It's targeted at the women folk. It is called the Morning Man, and you can choose. It's called morningmanapp.com. And hang on, let me. This is how your alarm clock will sound using the Morning Man app. Hang on a second. Listen to this. Oh, come on.
Café, mon amour? Are you sleeping in today? You are so beautiful when you wake. Buongiorno, tesorino.
Can I make you some tea, love?
Bom dia, meu amor.
It's time to wake up, sweetheart.
I saw this and just about peed myself laughing. I gotta tell you, as Sherry says, that's creepy as hell. It really is. That's got to be the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Why would you want that? Why would you want this strange man's voice waking you up in the morning? And does it repeat? Skin-crawlingly creepy. I know. It's just so freaking demented. It's utterly insane. Morningmanapp.com if you want to. if you want to listen to that kind of stuff. The last time I heard a creepy voice like that, Shawn nearly got strangled. Yeah, it's just bizarre. What makes the developer think this is something women want? Some creepy voice first thing in the morning. Monty, some strange voice waking me up is likely to get something shot. That is truly terrible, says Sherry. Dave D, I bet it sells. I bet it does too. If nothing else, as a joke. I'll give it to them. If this is a joke app, then I get it. But Lesh says, what does it say after you hit the snooze button? I ain't buying it to find out, Lesh. I don't care that much to buy this thing to find out what it would say if you if you bought it and hit the snooze button. I honest to God don't care. So it is the season. It's coming up on the holiday season. And what I want to know from you guys, I'm just trying to find this idea. What's the worst Christmas gift you ever got? You remember? For me, there was two. There was when I was from the age of about 7 to the age of 11. Every Christmas, I asked for one thing and one thing only. I asked for a race car set. I wanted just one of those, remember when we were kids, boys, guys, girls, you had that little trigger thing and the oval. I wanted one of those. So 7 years old, didn't get one. 8 years old, didn't get one. 9 years old, didn't get one. 10, didn't get one. 11, I come down from the bedroom, and underneath the tree is this long box, and it's got my name on it. And I'm like, yes, finally. Yes, right. I tore it open and opened it up, and it was a train set. It's like, what? What is wrong with you people? Did I ask for a train set? No, I did not. I've been asking for 4 years for a race car set. I got a train set instead. I never used the train set. My father set it up and he played with it. I never used it. That's why a couple of years ago I bought the Anki Overdrive set because I'm getting my own goddamn train set, race car set if I have to. The second one was when I'd moved away from home and lived on my own for about 8 years. And I came back to Victoria to see my mom at Christmas time. And so I've been gone for 8 years. So from the time I was 14 to 22. So I became a man in that period of time. And my mom obviously didn't know who I was as a person. So Christmas, there's the present under the tree, and it's soft, so it's closed. I open it up, and it's a jean jacket, which I never wore at the best of times. So this is a jean jacket. But across the chest, literally from about mid-chest to your middle of your sternum, was a green cotton strip all the way around the jean jacket. So it was jeans from the neck down to the middle, and there was this large green strip, and then from the bottom of the green strip to the bottom of the jacket was more jean stuff. And then in the green strip, in gigantic letters, was the word Levi's. And this gift was so awful, I couldn't even fake liking it. My mother could see the crushing disappointment on my face when I opened this thing up and lifted it up and went, it's lovely, Mom, thank you. I wore it that one day. I never wore it ever again. So what's the worst gift you've ever gotten? Send me an email to Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com. Let me know what do you remember as the worst Christmas gift you ever gotten? If you really hate somebody, here's a Christmas gift you could give them. They're called face pillows, and they're the creepiest gift idea ever. I saw this over at Mashables today. Now check this out. So they're throw pillows. So the usual size of a throw pillow. Are you ready for this? You folks watching the video, get ready. They're throw pillows that you have the other person's or a person's face on the throw pillow. Look at these things. Look at how truly terrifying and ugly these things are. Can you imagine getting that as a pillow? That someone would do that? Now, that's got to be a joke. That can't be a real gift. That's got to be the most hideous thing I could ever imagine giving to somebody. Macman, holy shit, do they come up with the alarm clock too? That's right. That is truly the most awful, awful gift I could ever imagine ever getting or giving to somebody. So I'm kind of interested. And then, in next week's show, we're going to talk about what's the best gift you ever got. But this week's show, we're going to talk about what's the worst gift you ever got. Send emails to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or email to onair at yourmaclifeshow.com. Mo says, hey, Shawn King in the IRC chat room. Reminder, you can always join us in the IRC chat room. It's easy to do. You go to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Right below the video on the front page, you'll be able to see the link to the IRC chat room. It's really easy to get into. I can show you again. I can show you here. You go to the website, and then at the bottom, if you scroll down below that ugly guy, our friend Monty has set us up with this IRC channel. It's really easy to get into. You just put your nickname in there, and you click connect, and boom, it dumps you into the IRC. The best thing to do is click on the open IRC in new window button, because that lets you do the two side by side. You can have the video on one side, you can have IRC open in the other. Don't be afraid of IRC. The folks in our IRC channel are wonderful and they're friendly. It's not complicated at all. It's really easy to use and understand. So we always encourage folks to join us in the IRC chat room, because that's where half the fun is in the IRC. If anyone ever gets out of line, Sly is there to boot them out. So you don't have to worry about any of those kinds of things. Do you use Flickr? Flickr.com. Do you like Flickr? I use it often, and I like it most of the time. On our Starting Point Photography segment, we're going to talk about Flickr and how you can get involved, what it is, what it does, what it doesn't do, and how you can use it for photography, for showing off your photography, for learning how to take better pictures, and also for what I like doing with it, and we'll talk more about this, is when I go someplace, is do a Flickr search for that place. If you're going on vacation, or if you're going traveling, or anything like that. So you can sort of get a visual sense of the place that you're going. So you can go to a place and say, oh yeah, I recognize that church or that street or things like that. That's one of the ways I use Flickr, and we'll talk about more ways of using it later on in the show. Again, we're going to be giving away a Apple TV on tonight's show, thanks to our Secret Santa. It's easy to join. All you do is go to the same website, yourmaclifeshow.com. At the top of the page, you'll see a YML entry form. The entries are finished for the Apple TV. No names that come in now will get put in the draw for the Apple TV. But for future random draws, that's where I get the names from. We always appreciate it if you would subscribe to Your Mac Life. We'll talk more about this later on, because Vito has encouraged me to do this. We always prefer if you would subscribe to Your Mac Life for $2, $5, $10, $15 a month, whatever it might be. That helps pay for all of this. And also helps me, obviously, helps me pay rent and buy groceries and all that kind of stuff. So please subscribe to the show if you so can. If you're in the Christmas spirit, this is the perfect time of you want to get me a gift? That's what you get me. You spend $2. $2 a month gets me a gift for the rest of the year. Or you can do it as a lump sum payment in PayPal, however you want to do it. And again, we'll talk more about that later on. But up next, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about the Apple Watch, about the Apple battery case, and about a bunch of and a whole bunch more stuff. I'll get this out sooner or later. All that and more coming up. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, joined on our phone now with our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Doing good, Shawn. How are you?
I am good. Thanks very much for joining us. We're trying out FaceTime audio this time around, so hopefully the Jim's audio is a little bit better than it has been in the past. The Apple battery case, were you surprised at the reaction that this thing has gotten over the past 24 hours?
How do you mean?
A lot of folks think, I've seen things, this is the worst design product Apple's ever done. People hate it. They hate the hump. They just hate the design overall. It's overpriced.
I don't know what people expect. It's a battery.
Exactly.
I mean, people were pinging me on Twitter saying, "Oh, I hate the design of it."
Yep.
A battery case is a functional thing.
Yep.
By definition, it is a functional thing. It's not supposed to be, or I don't think it can be aesthetically pleasing,
No.
just because of what it is. So, if you don't like it, don't buy it. No, it's not like Apple is forcing everybody to buy a battery case.
Yep.
Don't buy it. Jeez. I don't get the big complaints. You have to have a battery inside there somewhere in order for it to be a battery case.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
I know, it just struck me as so weird that people were getting so bent out of shape over this thing. Now, I will grant them that it's not as powerful as the same price case from the folks at Mophie. Mophie, I think,
Then go buy Mophie.
Exactly. It's less power because it's a smaller battery. The Mophie case, the entire back of it is a battery, so therefore it can hold more juice than what the Apple case was. Apple's done their case for particular reasons. One of them is that so you can flop down the top of it to more easily put your phone into it. They've done some interesting things when it comes to battery level indicators and things like that. The lightning connector is kind of cool. But I don't understand why these people seem to need, and need is, I think, the correct word, to find something to bitch about when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's just a frickin' battery case.
I agree that Apple makes beautifully designed products. They always have, and they will continue to. But when you have a battery case, something is utilitarian and something that you expect to be functional,
Yep.
then it's going to be what it is. Now, if Apple had come out with a beautifully designed case, like just a regular silicone case, and it gave you an extra hour of battery life, then those same people would be complaining, well, what's the sense of that? I want 20 hours. You can't have it both ways. Understand what the product is. It is a functional battery case, and it functions like that, so be done with it.
Some folks are saying this is an admission by Apple that the iPhone's battery doesn't last as long as it should. What do you say to that?
Oh, that's just a bunch of crap. I mean, my battery lasts so long. It's incredible how long the battery lasts.
Yep.
What this is if it's anything, it's an admission that people want battery cases.
Yeah.
Apple recognizes that. And for those people that want to buy an Apple branded case, they can now have one.
Yep.
Because, if you look at things like, it's not only for battery, it's for protection as well. But there are a lot of people that only take their cars to the dealers because they feel that if they always go to the dealer and something goes wrong, then it will be looked after. If
Sure.
you always have your Apple stuff with your Apple stuff in your Apple case and something goes wrong, then it must be something to do with that.
Yeah.
So, there's no third-party plugs and there's no, $2 Chinese chargers and, there's no admission. There's no, oh my God, people are just insane.
It's interesting that I'm not picking on our friend Monty, but he does echo what I've heard a lot from people. He says the case does look kind of un-Apple, but it's just a case. If you don't like it, don't buy it. I don't understand the un-Apple statements I've heard from people.
I understand. I mean, it's not a beautifully designed and beautiful looking case, but it is a functional case.
Yeah.
And that's where the difference is. You know, you have to decide as a user, do you want a functional case that is going to give you extra so many hours of battery, or would you rather have, no case and a beautifully designed looking phone? I'll tell you, and a lot of the times that I travel, I would rather have the battery.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's got a hump on the back, I don't care.
The thing that gets me though is that it's a battery case. It is what it is. Apple can't really redesign the case. And every case I've ever used, and I in the past have loved the Mophie cases. They add considerable bulk to even an iPhone 4, an iPhone 5. You put one of those Mophie cases on an iPhone 6 Plus, for God's sake. I don't even know if they make them that big, but you've turned yourself into a giant brick. You turn your phone into a giant brick. So Apple's got to try to find that delicate balance between making it too big so that people aren't going to want to buy it, and making it too small where it's nice and elegant, but it only gives you an extra hour of battery life. Apple's caught in a rock and a hard place here.
Right.
I think they accept the fact that people do want extra battery life. I don't think nearly as many people who think they want extra battery life actually need extra battery life, especially with the low power settings that are now available under iOS 9. I no longer run out of battery, even though I use my iPhone constantly during the day. By the time I get to later at night, I don't need an extra battery. I did with the iPhone 4 and the 5 and those kinds of things. So I don't think there's...
I don't run out of battery with my 6 Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, my 6 Plus is like carrying a battery factory around with me.
That's right. Exactly.
I could charge other people's phones and jumpstart a car.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
and for me, most of the time, even with my Mophie, it would be in my bag, not on my phone. I didn't use the Mophie until I actually needed battery charge. So what I've tended to do now with the iPhone 6S, because I couldn't find, the iPhone 6 Plus, because I couldn't find a battery case for it, I just carry around those external batteries. And the advantage of those is when Apple changes the next design, I don't need to buy a new battery case. That external battery case that I've got around here somewhere, the external battery case I've got can charge up any device I attach it to, whether it be my iPad or my iPhone or someone else's iPhone or things like that. That I really like about these external cases. And they don't have to stay on the phone 24/7.
Yeah, I see no problem.
What I found interesting was BGR has the worst Apple designs of 2015. And I don't think Apple's getting enough flack for, I think, what is the awful design of the Magic Mouse with the lightning port on the bottom. That is just a terrible, awful design. Now, granted, it's only charging up for a few minutes because the battery on that thing is so good, but it is butt ugly.
I don't agree.
Well, the only way to charge is by having your mouse lying on its side for X period of time. I think it's poor design.
2 minutes.
All right, it's 2 minutes of bad design.
Minutes.
It's 2 minutes of bad design.
Well, there are some things in life that I have to put up with for a hell of a lot longer that are bad design. This is a well-designed mouse, and it's 2 minutes. And for 2 minutes, you get, 2 hours of battery?
Yep.
I mean, come on.
All right,
if that's all we're going to complain about tonight, I'm going to hang up.
And how about the Apple Pencil and the way it charges with the iPad? The iPad Pro, I think that's a bad design there, too.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. I could see a few of those snapping out.
Oh, yeah. That's a $100 pencil if it snaps off at the pencil end, but if it snaps off at the iPad Pro end, God knows how much that's going to cost to fix. I think that's a terrible design.
Yeah.
Apple's not without blame on this stuff.
Well, you say this stuff. There you go back to the mouse again. Don't say this stuff. Say the pencil.
Okay. All right. Fine. The pencil.
Don't try and sneak something else in there.
Hey, you reported on something on the Loop that you don't often report on in the way you did. There's been this story that's been going around the last little while. And it's mostly a rumor from CBS Chairman Les Moonves that Apple has walked away from TV subscriptions, at least for the time being. Why did you think that was important enough to report on the Loop?
Well, first, Les has a big mouth.
Yeah, he
know
does.
that.
He does.
I mean, Les just can't keep his mouth shut.
Yep.
He'll blab anything.
Yep.
And I think it sounds reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those ones where, yeah, it's a rumor, but Les said it.
Yeah.
So, Les is in negotiations with Apple for this. And I think it answers some questions as to what the hell happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Apple did walk away for whatever reason. They put it on hold. And the reasons for that could be 20 different things.
Yeah.
It could be that it's just not the right time. Maybe the technology wasn't there. Maybe they needed to clear Apple Music off of their servers before they added TV shows. I don't know. But
it is interesting that I wonder if I certainly don't believe that Tim Cook is nearly as spiteful and vengeful as Steve Jobs was. I wonder if there's any blowback on Moonves for blabbing this information, or whether or not this was one of those things where Apple's going to be okay with it because it puts the other folks on notice that this is what we're trying to do and you need to help us with this kind of stuff.
Well, I don't know that there'll be any blowback. I mean, when it comes right down to it, Apple needs those channels.
Yep.
And Apple knew going into those negotiations that no matter what they said, he was going to blab it all over the world.
That's true.
I mean, so that going in.
Yep.
So the fact that he held on to it for more than 5 minutes
Yep.
was a miracle.
I don't disagree. It is interesting to read the Recode report about what Moonves says and sort of read between the lines of what Apple's trying to do here, assuming that this is accurate or as accurate as it can be coming out of Moonves. Is this something you'd be interested in? This kind of service, is limited tier service for $30 a month?
Well, what I think I want and what I think other people are looking for is the ability for me to buy channels.
Yes.
And to be able to watch those programs whenever and wherever I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And if Apple can make that happen, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But, like on demand stuff from CBS and NBC and stuff, they're not in HD.
Yeah.
Don't pull that stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
That's just awful. And, with Comcast, you can only put it on a couple of devices and then it'll run out. Don't pull that stupid crap with me. Give me access to my channels, the ones that I subscribe to, and let me pick what I want. And I want to watch those whenever I want. And I want the shows to be on. I don't want to have to go in and enter my subscription because I don't want a subscription.
Yeah.
To cable, I mean.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for here. So if Apple is able to pull that off, and I believe that they will be able to pull that off, then yeah, that's something that I would definitely buy into. But there's a lot of different things that I like. For instance, Formula One racing, English Premier League soccer, hockey. NHL is there already on Apple TV, but hockey. I like a lot of these different things that I would like to have access to, and specifically, it's not just hockey for me. It's the New England Sports Network in Boston because they have the Boston Bruins. And I like listening to the commentators from the Bruins to talk about the hockey game. So, I would like to be able to buy a subscription to Nessun if I could on Apple TV. It's deeper than just, show me the next episode of Law and Order. For me, it's a bit more complicated than that in what I would like. But if Apple could come out right off and say, here are a list of premium channels, pick what you want, and okay, here's how much it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I think that's part of what Steve Jobs called the hairball of TV, is that because there's almost as many different ways of getting TV as there are people who want to watch TV. You have a particular set of needs and wants. Mine are similar to yours. A lot of live sports. But the other stations you like may not be the ones that I like, and
Right.
I may not want HGTV, and I don't want the Oprah network and that kind of stuff. I want to pick and choose, which is never going to happen, by the way. People keep talking about a la carte, where you can just go to your cable provider and say, all right, charge me $1 for that channel, $1 for this channel, and that kind of stuff. That's never going to happen. It's going to always be this kind of bundling thing. And the problem is, go ahead.
What will end up happening is that after Apple does this and it becomes successful, then the cable networks will say, oh, we got this great idea. We're going to allow you to pick and choose individual channels.
Yep.
Yeah, screw you.
Yeah, it's admirable of Apple even making the attempt to do this. This is what a lot of folks have been trying to do for a lot of years, and Apple jumping in this, people seem to have thought that, oh, this will be easy. We'll have this by Christmas time, but I wasn't expecting it this Christmas. I think this is just, there's too many entrenched interest, advertising being a primary one. I don't subscribe to any shows. I've got cable. I'm not a cord cutter yet. I've still got cable because right now, for me, if nothing else, cable from my local cable provider is more convenient than anything else.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. I don't have to go through 18 different kind of services trying to find that thing I want. And with the DVR, I just make sure I don't subscribe to or buy TV off iTunes. I just make sure my DVR records them. So for me, again, like I'm different than you are, and folks in the RC chat room, we're going to have different wants and needs. This is going to be a nightmare for Apple to try to unravel the Gordian knot.
Well, I think we have Apple trying to unwrap it, but it's better than having the individual users trying to unwrap it because, like you, I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be a cord cutter, I suppose, if I wanted to take the time and go around and look at everything and do all this kind of crazy stuff. I just don't.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
bring the cable or the satellite in, give me a DVR, and I'll record the stuff and watch it later.
Just can't be bothered. It's too much effort for the most part.
Too much effort.
There was interesting news coming today from Reuters. Majority of Apple Watch owners plan to give it as a gift, hand in hand with the news that Best Buy and Target and B&H and several other companies have dropped the price of the Apple Watch to dropped it by $100. A Target gift card at Target, but Best Buy has dropped it straight up by $100. Do you think this is going to make the Apple Watch the hottest selling gift this Christmas under Christmas trees?
I don't know if it'll be the hottest, but it's definitely going to be a hot item. Yeah, definitely. And for good reason. You know, I love my watch.
Yeah.
I absolutely love my watch. And I got to tell you, of all the things that I own, the watch is probably the last thing I would say that I would love.
Really?
But, you know, what are we, 7 months later?
Yeah.
And I really do. I love it. I wear it every single day. I interact with it every day. It's not something that just sits there. I use it all the time. I think it's a great device.
Do you use it in the same way as, say, the first month, or are you using it less? It's on your wrist all the time. Are you using it less or using it differently? Give us a sort of a sense of 7 months later how you're using it.
You know, I've just gone deeper into how I was using it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it's being done. I mean, I don't use it much differently. I just use it more.
One of the things that always comes up when these kinds of price cuts happen is there a fear that this is because of one of two things? Either the Apple Watch wasn't selling very well, so Apple had to drop the price, as we often say about Android phones. They come out at $600, and then 2 months later they drop to 99 cents. Or is Apple clearing out inventory in preparation for the rumored Apple II watch coming up in March?
Well, it could be either one of those things. I mean, we don't know what's going on. I know that there's a rumor of, you know, something going to happen, and who knows? I have no idea. But if they're clearing it out, if they just want to, get everybody using it, or whatever it is, get them out there.
I don't think they're clearing them out, but I do believe they are trying to spur sales. And they've given permission to Best Buy and Target and B&H and those folks to cut the price. I am surprised that they did it now, so far away from what we often think is the biggest holiday buying weekend, the Black Friday weekend, that there weren't sales then. Maybe it's because they thought it would just get lost in the noise of Black Friday. And some people are, and tell me if you agree with this, some people are rightly a little bit ticked off that they went out on Black Friday, there weren't any sales of the Apple Watch, so they bought an Apple Watch at full price, and now, 2 weeks later, the price has dropped by $100. I know that's retail, I know that's what happens, but do you think these folks have a bit of a legitimate beef with Apple?
Well, no, I don't, but then I'm trying to look at this realistically, and you could go buy a car today and it could drop tomorrow.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, people can be pissed at Apple all they want for price drops or releasing new products or whatever, but the fact is, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's right.
And it happens with all products. So, if you're going to be mad with Apple, then you have to be mad with Chevy and Toyota and all those places too, because tomorrow a new deal could come out and say it could have saved you thousands or hundreds or whatever. I always say you go get what you need and the best that you can afford and be happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you've got to be willing to take that leap and buy that thing, and if it happens the day after, then I could see you being rightfully upset. But if it happens 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, then I don't think you've got a whole lot of room to be mad at Apple for doing this kind of stuff.
Don't they also have like a 30-day money-back guarantee? Go take it back.
Yeah, that's something I said on the pre-show, is that folks should at the very least ask Apple if they can take it back and get their money back. And someone else pointed out, too, C. Plater pointed out that Apple will do price matching, too. So if Best Buy's got it off for $100, go into your local Apple store and see if they'll price match the $100 for you, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think people complain too much about this stuff.
One of the interesting stories I saw today in the New York Times, Apple executive seeks a touch of chic at retail environments, retail stores. I find this interesting, if only because of the statement that Angela Arendt made with regards to these new speakers that Apple is about to sell in some of the stores. The idea that these speakers are the beginning of an effort from Apple to make the stores a little more high-end is the kind of tone that came from this story. These are expensive speakers. They start at $1,900. They are gorgeous speakers. I don't know how they sound, but they look really good.
I have one.
Oh, do you? The Phantom?
Yeah, I got one before it was even released, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Is there a concern, though, that Apple is not pricing themselves out of the market, but catering to the higher end of what they already have as a higher end market, and maybe cutting out those folks, those middle-class folks, those middle-income earners? Okay.
Apple just released a $20,000 watch. If they haven't priced themselves out of the market already, they're never going to. I mean, really, Apple has always catered to the high end, but I think that they've been very particular about that type of high end market and what products they carry there, because they truly do have to be high end. This speaker is truly high end.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, you would not believe the sound that comes out of this thing.
No. Is there a danger, though, that for the company selling these things, because generally high-end speakers, generally high-end speakers are sold in high-end sound environments. In other words, that you can't really hear how good these speakers are in an Apple store because the sound environment in an Apple store is going to be awfully bad.
You know, as the speaker is very heavy,
No.
but when I think you will be able to hear it, you can shake the house with that one speaker, and you can daisy chain 24 of those.
Yikes!
Yes, I mean it is astounding how well this thing sounds.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance in an Apple store to go in and turn one of those up, oh, please do.
Should I warn the people around me first?
Oh God, no, don't. And put on some Aussie too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. But does and here's an interesting question, as I say, patting myself in the back, does the kind, and this is not an insult, does the kind of music you listen to benefit from those kinds of speakers? We always think of high-end speakers as being listened to with classical music. You know, that's how they test them out for you in these high-end stores. Does the hard-driving metal that you listen to benefit from those kinds of high-end speakers?
It did when I played it. Yeah, you know, what I really enjoyed putting on when people would want to hear it is put on acoustic music.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Even I'd put on like the live version of the Eagles Hotel California.
Yeah.
I'd put that on, or put on some acoustic music, or just some you know, female singer-songwriter stuff. And oh my God, it's just, the clarity is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess the concern I have that goes along with another story I saw with regards to Apple ending the one-on-one group training programs and some of the one-on-one personal training. It feels like that they're moving away from this middle ground to a higher level. As much as I complained about my local one-on-one, I recommended the one-on-one training to everyone I talked to about buying a Macintosh. That I said this was a great way to learn for free how to use your Mac. And Apple cutting back on those kinds of services, they don't make Apple money. It's after the sale service. And so I can get why, as a bottom line thing, Apple would want to cut back on some of these things that don't make them money. But it's such a wonderful mind share thing. I love going to the Apple.
Is it money?
I have not. I assume it would be. Why else would they cut back on this kind of stuff?
Well, maybe they have other things that they want to put in there instead.
I don't understand what you mean. What other possible things? Just using. It's not like you're using the space. It's just a desk that's going to be there anyway.
No, I know, but you know, maybe it's other things that they want to do.
Possibly. But I for me personally, I really liked going to an Apple store with a person who wasn't familiar with Apple and saying, you see those folks sitting over there? They're getting training on their new Macintosh or their new iPad or their new iPhone. Oh, what does that cost? It's free. You get it when you buy the product. And it was really a nice thing to be able to say, a nice value add for those folks who were kind of on the fence whether they were going to be buying a Macintosh or not. So it's just one of those things.
Well, now you get to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too. It's like, don't talk to me. Go to the Apple store and do it with those guys. So yeah, maybe that's what I'm sad about, is that they're going to be asking me for that kind of training. You were talking earlier about people complaining about things for the sake of complaining about them. I don't know if you saw this. This just cracks me up. And he's very thin-skinned. No, not Marco Arment. Daniel Jalkut is also as thin-skinned as Marco is. And I teased him about this on Twitter, and he got all butthurt about this. He wrote a blog post, "Hey Siri, don't trivialize my timer." And I thought, what the hell does that mean? Well, it turns out when Daniel set the timer for 3 minutes, we've all done this. We've asked Siri to set us a timer for eggs or tea, whatever it might be. And the timer will say things, okay, I've started a 3-minute timer. And then Siri gets cute with it. You know, she'll say something like, don't overcook the egg, or a watched iPhone never boils, or things like that. Well, he wrote a blog post whining about this, about how he doesn't want Siri to ad lib. He doesn't want Siri to go extemporaneous on him. And I'm reading this going, you whiny bitch. I mean, I can't believe this is something you've given more than 3.5 seconds of thought to, let alone written a whole 500-word blog post about.
Well, there you go.
The Macintosh developer community can be some of the whiniest little children you could possibly imagine.
Well, that part doesn't bother me, but I'm not serious about my timers either. It's probably very seldom I've set one.
I set them all the time, and I've heard that all the time. I can't understand what I don't get is how you can let this bother you to the extent where you A, gave it any thought, and B, actually wrote 500 words about it. We see this all the time I don't know if it's true of Android developers or Windows developers, all three of those guys. I don't know if it's true of anyone else, but I see it so much with Macintosh developers, and it just sort of, get out of your own heads, guys. Stop complaining about this Mickey Mouse bullshit and focus on the real things, like how bad Apple Music is.
Well, we all have our pet peeves.
True, fair enough. But yours is a big one.
Well, it's a big one for me.
Yep.
Not a big one for everybody. You know.
How do you feel about the criticism you're taking for your stand against Apple Music?
I don't care.
Good.
I don't care because I think that Apple let us down.
Yep.
With Apple Music, and I think that their feet should be held to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm prepared to do that, and I have been doing that. And I don't care because a lot of people are enjoying Apple Music, and I tell every one of them, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
And I truly am happy for you that you're enjoying it. I'm not. And I know a lot of other people that are not, and they're in the same situation that I am. I have met with Apple. I don't just, blindly blast them. I make sure that they know that here are some issues that you need to fix. And these are fundamental issues. Yes, there are a lot of bugs. But there are some fundamental issues that make this service unusable. And I will admit that yesterday's update did a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can now reliably download music. But this is a feature that was promised 5 months ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I'm not going to be too quick to pat Apple on the back for delivering a feature that they announced 5 months ago and continued to say was fully working up until yesterday. It's not like they promised it and it was late coming. It was in the first version. It just never worked.
That's right.
And there is nobody that is going to be able to tell me that downloading music has always worked for them because I know better.
MacMan in the IRC chat room says, does the UI of the music app still suck ass?
Sucks badass.
It really does, doesn't it?
It sucks prison ass.
Yep.
Now, I mean, let's look at the interface. The things that bothered me the most, the interface, were really a lot to do with inconsistencies in the interface.
Yes.
I mean, when you have a certain rectangle and you have to fit things in that rectangle, I don't necessarily think that Apple did a poor job of designing the interface, but I think they did a poor job with the inconsistencies that they put in there, and they're starting to fix those. And credit to them for fixing their first flawed mistakes. I have a difficult time with this, with Apple Music.
I think
I found on Twitter say something, I am even more upset in person.
Yeah,
because I expect more,
and that's it too.
And I don't know why other people don't. So that's why I'm, if people want to bash me for speaking out against Apple Music, then go right ahead. I don't care.
I think one of the issues for me, too, is that it's the subject matter, too. I think we'd be less upset if this was a word processor. But because it's music, because it's something that's so important to so many people, and Apple claims it's important to them, too, for Apple to screw this up this badly in something that's fundamental to their DNA, as Steve Jobs has said, as Tim Cook has said, as Eddie Q has said, and to mess with something that's important to you, your music. It'd be the same thing if Apple brought out an app that did the same thing to my photos that it does to your music. I'd be the same way. I'd be screaming from the treetops how much this thing sucked ass. It's not like it's a word processor. It's not like it's a Wi-Fi sniffer. This is something that's fundamental to the company and to the people who use it. And to me, it should be embarrassing to Apple that they released this product as half-baked as it is.
Yeah, well, question everything to do with Apple Music.
Yep, that's right.
I really do. And I think that's the way to go. But, musician question thing about Pro Tools or about the new guitar they get.
Yeah.
And every camera. Pro U. And it so happens that this is fell down on.
Yep.
And for Apple to say right now, DNA rings hollow. Believe it.
It does. Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple in the Loop at loopinsight.com. He has two of his own podcasts, one called The Dalrymple Report, and the other is Amplified. Both are available on the iTunes store. Jim, thanks for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it. Say good night, Jim. Jim? Are you going to say goodbye or not? All right. I don't know what happened there. I just suddenly, Jim, if you can still hear me, hang up, buddy. Hang up. Go away. I've cut you off. Yeah, good timing. Yeah, he's already getting a beer, said MacMan. Thanks to Jim for doing this. I appreciate it. In our starting point photography segment, thanks very much for the question from, let me get the emails and find out who the question is from. This comes from Tiffany. Tiffany says, Shawn, what is Flickr and why would I want to use it? That's a good basic question, Tiffany. Flickr is, at its very basic, a place for you to put your photos to show them off, to store them in the cloud, so to speak. One thing I always tell folks is when it comes to your photos, especially the photos that you think are important to you, they're pictures of your kids or pictures of your vacation or pictures you don't want to ever lose, you need to have multiple backups. Don't just have all your pictures on your phone. It's one of the things I was on Kim all the time for. She rarely did backups. She would take dozens of pictures over a week or 2 weeks period of time and never do a backup. And I said, what happens if you lose that phone? Where are those pictures going to be? Now, Apple helps you out with iCloud, but unfortunately, because iCloud storage is so limited, you can easily overwhelm iCloud with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different devices. Flickr, FLICKR.com, offers you 1 terabyte of data for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. A terabyte. Now, my last looking at Flickr says that I have got over 19,000 photos on Flickr, and I'm using up 1% of a terabyte. 1% of a terabyte. So don't worry about using up too much of. Why is that still there? That's interesting. Hang on. Sorry. I'm with the wrong. Change source. Local desktop. Oh, great. Now I've lost my local desktop. I can't even show you the thing I was going to show you. Trying to figure out why that's still showing the wrong view. Anyway, Flickr.com. You sign up. Again, it's free. And then you use different kinds of apps, either on your desktop or on your iPhone or your iOS device, to upload the pictures to Flickr. MacMan says, I think it was Alex Lindsay who said when he worked at ILM that the file didn't exist and that it was saved to 3 locations. I say that all the time. You've got it on your hard drive, on your computer. You've got it on a backup drive that sits next to the computer. Then you have it on the cloud somewhere, whether it be iCloud, whether it be Google Drive, whether it be Flickr, whatever it might be. It's got to be in 3 different places. So you upload the photos. You can do it automatically on your iPhone. I've got it set so that every photo I take on my iPhone automatically gets uploaded to Flickr. The Flickr app does it in the background. And the thing is, it uploads the pictures in the background and turns them private. The other thing about Flickr, too, is you can choose which photos you want to be seen by which group of people. So you can have your photos be posted up publicly. You can have them be posted privately, so only you can see them. You can have a friends and family group. So as people follow you, you can designate them as a friend and family, and only they can see those photos. You can create photo groups. So I've got groups for the Macworlds I've been to, for the Mexico trip that Kim and I went on, with the motorcycle riding I do. So there's different groups. You can then present your photos in all kinds of different interesting ways. There's a slideshow. My Apple TV, when it goes into slideshow or screensaver mode, it uses my photos from Flickr as a screensaver. I don't use Apple screensaver. I use my own screensaver. You can do all kinds of really neat, fun things with Flickr. One of the other ways I said this earlier in the show, one of the other things I did on Flickr is when I go traveling, I will do a search for that location on Flickr to sort of get a sense of, as a photographer, what other photographers are taking pictures of in that location, in that town, I'm looking for that church, I'm looking for that sunset, I'm looking for that beach, whatever it might be. And it sort of gives you a sense of the space that you're going to go to, whether it be a beach in Mexico, or whether it be the Tower of London, whether it be the French Riviera. You get a sense of that ahead of time. And then the third thing I do is it's a really, really neat way to become a better photographer. One of the things that we always talk about when it comes to being a good photographer is to look at other good photographers and not mimic them per se, but learn from them. And one of the things I love to do on Flickr is when I see a picture I really, really like, I take a look at the data of the picture. And unfortunately, for some reason, I don't know why I can't show this to you all of a sudden. I keep showing that screen of Angela Laurent, and I don't know why it hasn't refreshed. Yeah, of course not. Of course not. It just died on me right then and there. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to. I was using Duet to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quit out of Duet, and hopefully the connection will remain. And no, go away, Duet. And what I'll do is I'll go to Flickr on my iPad, FLICKR.com. And then if I open up QuickTime, I should be able to show you guys what I'm looking at. Hang on a second. Bear with me just for a second. I don't know why this thing went south on me like that, but it did. Oh, I can't show this to you anyway. Oh, God. So annoying. Anyway, follow along with me on Flickr.com. This Duet app was working just fine. Working just fine moments ago. And now all of a sudden it's gone south on me. Restart the iPad. I don't think I have to restart the iPad. I should be able to just restart Duet first and see if that will pull it up. I think it did. Let's see. It did. So I restarted the app, and that seemed to have pulled it up. All right. So now let me try this again. FLICKR.com. Oh, good. Finally. Jesus, that was more painful than it should have been. So here in the search window, you see in the upper right, it says sign up. So you can sign up, but here's the search window, and I'll just do a search for Vancouver. And here's pictures that people have tagged as Vancouver. And so the neat thing is you look at these photos, and what I do is I try to guess at what settings the photographer took the picture. we've talked in the past about shutter speed and aperture and ISO and exposure and that kind of stuff. Well, every photo, when you take it out of your camera, has this stuff called EXIF data on it. And sometimes you can strip it out. Some photographers do, but a lot of them don't. And that data is embedded in the photo. And it allows you to sort of be a detective and figure out what the photographer did with the photo, what kind of camera they used, whole bunch of really neat, interesting information. So you scroll down and you can see, let me close that out of the way, go away. You can see that photos in 3 albums, additional information. Don't tell me this photo doesn't have EXIF data. Come on. All right, let's. Go away. There we go. So this photo stopped up with whoever invented these pop-ups, I hope you die in hell. This particular photo was taken with a Nikon D700. You can see down here in the lower corner, it gives you that information of what camera took the shot. It was shot at f8. It was shot at 1/600th of a second at 71 millimeters. ISO 400. The flash did not fire. That's kind of interesting information. But you can get even more information when you click on the show EXIF data. You click on that, and now you see a whole bunch of other stuff. And a lot of the stuff, 95% of the stuff, you're not going to care about. It's not going to make any difference to you at all. One thing you can find, though, is things like what software he or she used in order to do this. You see that they had auto on their exposure mode. They had auto on their white balance. I'm scrolling down to see if it tells me about the software that they used to create this. These are all camera settings. Vibration reduction was turned off. Active delighting was on normal. Blah, 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 blah. Keep scrolling down. I'm looking for the information on, and this is information about the lens. He had a 24-120 lens on the camera. All kinds of really, really nerdy, geeky information is available in it. The only thing you really care about is the f-stop and the shutter speed. Those numbers at the very top. So that's how I kind of use Flickr sometimes, to sort of explore these kinds of images and sort of guess and see if I can't figure out what the photographer did with the image. And then kind of see if I can't recreate it myself. Not exactly, again, not copying per se, but in mimicking what the photographer did. So if you get a chance, try out Flickr. Again, it's free. Doesn't cost you a dime to sign up for Flickr. They have pro accounts, but you don't actually have to use a pro account with Flickr. You can use just their free account, and they've got all kinds of details on the free account, and I would encourage you to sign up for that. Again, if for no other reason, then because it's free, it gives you a free backup of your Flickr stuff, of your Flickr photos. And any backup is good backup. I tell the story in my photography class of these fantastic photos I took of the Statue of Liberty in New York City and of the Washington Monument. Beautiful photo, probably the best photos I've ever taken of the Washington Monument. And I lost them all in a hard drive crash because I didn't have any backups. I had no backups. It wasn't like I didn't have a cloud backup, and I had I had zero backups, and therefore I lost all of those photos. They're gone forever, and it's crushing to me that I was that dumb that I had zero backups. You trust me, you do not want to be in that position to know that you've lost some great, great photos. It's a terrible, terrible feeling to open up your hard drive and realize that there ain't nothing there. It's dead and gone. Monty says it's worth mentioning that you excuse me. It's worth mentioning that you have a photo post-processing workflow that uploads your photo library to Flickr. Yeah. I don't know how deep we want to get into this, but one of the things is I make this as easy on myself as I possibly can. I automate as much of this stuff as I possibly can. One of the One of the downsides of Flickr is that the tools that they provide aren't really very good when it comes to uploading, say, 100 pictures. Maybe that's good, because maybe you shouldn't be uploading 100 bad pictures. Only upload 4 good pictures. But I've got it set up so that when anything gets dumped into a particular folder, gets automatically uploaded to Flickr. I also use an app called F-Stop, which is really good at creating sets and creating things in... excuse me. Wow. I got a bad back and a frog in my throat. This is just not a good night. Flickr has on their blog the year in review in Flickr. And this is kind of interesting, some of the data that they have. They have the best photos from the UK, France, the US, and other places. The top news stories that were on Flickr. They've got the wonderful Project Apollo archive. The White House uses Flickr. The official White House photographer uses Flickr. NASA uses Flickr. There's a whole bunch of different ways to explore Flickr. You can look for specific photographers, if you'd like, professional photographers, and see what they're shooting and how they're shooting, and see if you can mimic or appreciate, at the least, their photos. You can also buy photographers' photos and sell your own. So there's all kinds of different things you can do on Flickr. One of the neat things is they tell you what the top cameras on Flickr were. The most popular devices used by the Flickr community in 2015. 42% of all the photos on Flickr, and there are millions and millions and millions of photos that were taken in 2015 that are now on Flickr. 42% of them were taken with an iPhone. That to me is very interesting. That's really, really interesting that many people are taking pictures with the iPhone. If only because it's so much. I think the tools for taking pictures and uploading pictures on the iPhone, and I'm making an assumption here because I don't know for a fact, I think the tools for doing it on the iPhone are so much easier. Like I said, the Flickr app automatically uploads things for me. Maybe the Android app does the same thing. I don't know. Why are iPhone users taking more photos than Android users when there's significantly more Android phones out in the wild than there are iPhones out there? That's interesting. 20% of all photos were taken with the Canon EOS line, which I believe is the Canon Rebel line, and 16% of photos were taken with a flavor of Nikon. Monty says it's interesting that Canon is beating out Nikon by quite a bit. I don't find it interesting, Monty. I know you do, but I don't, because Canon has always, this ratio has been consistent for at least 5 years. And then this is also the true ratio in the marketplace too. Canon sells 60% of all DSLRs. Nikon sells about 30% of them. So it doesn't surprise me that these numbers are this way. 39% of all photos on Flickr were taken with a camera phone in general. 31% were taken with a DSLR. 25% were taken with a point and shoot. What's interesting to me is only 3% were taken with mirrorless cameras. I would have thought that would have, by this time, surpassed the point and shoot. But the point and shoots are still 25% of all the photos taken on Flickr. So check out Flickr. Again, it's free. You owe it to yourself if you take pictures to preserve those pictures, to save those pictures in some way, shape, or form. And Flickr, for me, is an easy, cheap way of doing it. They give you buttloads of data, 1,000 gigabytes, terabyte of data. You're never going to fill that up. Then if you want to, you can get more into Flickr, creating photo sets and collections and themes. The Scott Kelby group that I do a photo walk with every year creates a photo walk group on Flickr, and people can dump photos on there. There's all kinds of different ways of using Flickr. Someone said, MacMan, surprising that Yahoo hasn't managed to totally destroy Flickr either. They've tried. They've done some dumb things when it comes to Flickr. They're getting better. I think they understand a little bit more of how the community uses Flickr, because Flickr is very much community driven too. You don't have to get involved in the Flickr community, but I think that your photography will get richer for it if only by looking at other photographers and appreciating other photography. And again, trying to mimic the style or the shots that other photographers take. So again, check it out, flickr.com, Flickr.com. MacMan says, tag photos, especially the people in them. So 100 years from now, your great-grandkids know who is in the photo with you. Dave D, I thought the latest changes were pretty nice. Yeah, I don't mind the latest changes, Dave. Change is difficult, especially when you've got a particular kind of workflow. And when they start messing with stuff, even if they make it better, you kind of go, I liked it the old way. But I got used to the new stuff pretty quickly. So it's the Flickr's interface is fairly simple. It's not that difficult to do the basics on Flickr. And what MacMan says when he says tagging photos, that just means using what are called keywords, words that describe the photo. So what you do is you can use the date, although that's going to be in the photo anyway. Use the name of the place you're at, the city or the country. If there's people in it and you are comfortable naming them, name the people, because that's how people search on Flickr. You saw what I did. I did a search on the word Vancouver, and it came up with a bunch of pictures of Vancouver. You can do searches for red. You can do searches for dogs, whatever words you can come up with. That's how they pop up, is by the tags that you used. Monty says, I had the screensaver for my now dead Apple TV set to the Flickr Interesting group. I like seeing the new and different photos that get tagged to that group. Yeah, it's a great resource. It's definitely something I would encourage you to check out when you get a chance. To get two very special shout-outs tonight, I got to make sure that I get these out there, because these are two very special people to certainly the YML community and definitely to me. First off, to my good friend Vito Mori up there in Prince George, British Columbia. It's his birthday on December 13th, which is Sunday. He'll be 53. Can you give a shout out? He says, also, I donate monthly to your show. I hope others step up and keep your show on the air for years to come. You can quote me. Vito, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to my good friends, Maurice Chevalier and Shelley Chevalier. Today is Shelley and my wedding anniversary. For the last 37 years, she has put up with me and my foibles. It's been an interesting journey together, and I would not want to have spent it with anyone else. I'm looking forward to the next 37 years together with her. Maurice, that is so utterly sweet of you, and I'm more than happy to give you and Shelley a shout-out. So thanks again to you for the friendship that you've given me over all the years. And I'm more than happy to wish you and Shelley the absolute best. Jason Painter down there in Sydney, Australia, talking about the Apple TV. The initial setup process is fantastic, where you bring your iPhone close and it picks up the Wi-Fi details and probably more. It's when you have to connect streaming services that it's a pain to use the keyboard. I use strong passwords for the 3 services I use. I had to hunt and punch my email address in long passwords. For YouTube, I went to a website on my iPad and entered a code. That was how Flickr managed it too. There's a definite pain point with connecting services. Once connected, you shouldn't have to do so again, but imagine a dummy trying to set this up. This is only the beginning of this platform, he says. The potential is huge. Maybe in future you'll be able to authenticate with Touch ID on a nearby iPhone. Perhaps it will sync applicable items from iCloud Keychain. Now the device and platform is not a secret to the rest of the company. Better integration between services is possible. Also, for people who are bitching about the remote, I think it's been designed for aesthetics, but it's very practical too, he says. The button alignment is not really in the middle because the touchpad is above the buttons. In reality, 2/3 of the top surface is dedicated to control. I find it easy to orientate by feel. Apple can't design for every contingency, such as putting it on a couch cushion and it falls between the cushions, so when you pick it up, you touch the trackpad, dropping it from a great height on the concrete, etc. You have to remember that Apple has sweated these details at great length, so what they've come up with is probably the best design. What other emails do I get? I had an interesting email from an old listener, Webb Bixby. He said, I saw your article on the Loop regarding Einstein's theory of relativity. Now you know how his handwritten manuscript was given to the Library of Congress. And I wasn't sure what he was talking about. He posted a Facebook story to me, and I saw that during World War II, Kansas City Life Insurance helped war efforts by purchasing Albert Einstein's theory of relativity for $6.5 million in war bonds. The company then donated the documents to the Library of Congress. After learning of the purchase price, Einstein mused, economists will have to revise their theories of value. When calculating the current inflation, this purchase would be equal to more than $86 million. Well, that's Webb's family's company. His family in World War II bought Einstein's theory of relativity and donated to the Library of Congress. That's remarkable. That's pretty cool, Webb. I think that's great that your family did that. Tim Simbora.com. Hey, Shawn, the last show you complained the Apple Pencil was about a foot long. I just got mine today, and it's about a half-inch longer than a standard Bic pen. A quarter-inch shorter than a standard new pencil. Maybe the one you tried had something else on the end. That's possible, but I don't think it's likely. I'll have to go and check again. Maybe I'll find a pencil. I don't know where a pencil is. It seemed to me to be quite long, longer than any number 2 pencil I ever used as a kid. I haven't touched a number 2 pencil in probably 30 years. But it seemed to be significantly long. Am I wrong, folks? For those of you who either have an Apple Pencil or have felt them, did you feel that it seemed long? I understand why it's long, because it has to have the ergonomics, or it has to have the guts inside of it. It just felt odd to me. Its length. It was too thin for me too. I like a thicker pencil or pen when I write, which is very, very rare. But I'll check it out. Tim, thanks very much for the information. I actually have to cut the show short. I don't know if you see me squirming around here. My back has been killing me all day. It's usually, I sit pretty much in this chair all day long, and it's usually pretty good. But today I'm getting these sharp pains in my my lower back, and have been for the entire show. MacMan says maybe the demo unit had something attached to it, an anti-theft device, maybe. Possibly. I didn't notice that. I'll check it next time I'm in the store and see if there was an extra bit on the end of it. Like I said, if someone has an Apple Pencil, measure it for me. Let me know. So I can find out if there's, maybe that's exactly what's happening, is the demo units that they have in the store have got an anti-theft thing on them. Apple TV. I want to say thanks very much to everyone who sent in the entry form for the Apple TV. Appreciate you guys subscribing to the show, especially you subscribers. I appreciate them the most. But anyone who sent an entry form, I really appreciate you guys doing that. Thanks again very much to our Secret Santa who has given us. What we're going to do is I'm going to draw the name of the winner, and then we'll send the money to the winner. And then the winner can decide whether they want to buy the Apple TV or not, or whether they want to buy the Christmas presents. We're not going to send you an Apple TV. You're going to buy the Apple TV, and we'll give you the purchase price of the Apple TV. So I want to make that clear to folks. Let me get the IRC channel up, and now I'm going to close my eyes. This is me closing my eyes so I can't see. I got to see where I'm scrolling. And someone in the IRC chat room, go ahead and say stop. And there we go. Sherry says stop, and it's scrolling through, and it is going to be Paul Hunter in San Jose, California. Congratulations, Paul. He is a subscriber, a $2 a month subscriber. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul, I'll send you an email later on after the show, and we'll find out where you want me to send or where you want the Secret Santa to send you the money, whether probably by PayPal is likely the easiest way to do it. Thanks for everyone who subscribed, who signed up, who sent me an email. I appreciate that. So Paul Hunter, congratulations. You've won a brand new Apple TV. Yeah, MacMan says I had back pain like that for almost 2 months straight. That sucked. I don't usually have back pain, but just tonight it's just been really twinging on me. This is suggested to me by Vito. He said I should say something about this, and yeah, all I can do is say I wrote it down so I would say it properly. Hey, did you enjoy this show? Did you enjoy the previous shows? I hope so, but I'll be honest, it's harder and harder to work up the energy to keep doing this. I've been doing a show almost every Wednesday evening for 22 years. Many of you notice we don't have any sponsors. The show is completely supported by you, the listener. But to be honest, not enough of you are supporting the show via subscriptions. It's getting harder and harder to justify the cost of doing the show. Now that I'm living on my own, I've got double the expenses I had before. The computers, the gear, the bandwidth. without the show at least paying for itself. It doesn't now. I'd like to hire someone to redesign and reinvigorate the website. The website is old and tired, and I don't even want to look at it anymore. I'd like to hire someone to help me redesign the website so I can do more stuff with the website. I'd like to do more contests and giveaways. I love doing contests and giveaways. It's fun to give stuff away to you guys. All that costs money. So in the spirit of the season, if you don't already sponsor the show with a subscription of $2, $5, $10, $15 a month, please consider doing so. The money will help with future plans for the show and will encourage me and help me make the show even better. If you already subscribe, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Every single dollar. Thank you very, very much. Even $2. Don't think that, it's only $2. If enough people subscribe for $2, it makes a huge difference, not only to YML, but in my life. As I said off the top of the show, Kim is no longer going to be involved in the show. That's her choice. I've invited her to be on the show. She has gone back to an old boyfriend. But even having said that, I loved having her on the show. I loved her voice, not only the sound of it, but the way she looked at things. Wasn't crazy about the cursing. I tried to fix that. But I loved having her on the show. And the show is going to be harder to do without her energy, without her pumping me up. I hate doing the show by myself. I always have. I don't find it interesting to hear the sound of my voice for an hour and a half every Wednesday night. So I'm trying to think of different ways to do different things to make the show more interesting for me. But this stuff costs money. So if you want to get Shawn a Christmas present, subscribe to the show. Go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. On the left-hand side of the page, there's a button there where you can just donate an X number of dollars. There's a button there where you can subscribe for $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever it is. Comes out of your credit card, comes out of your PayPal account. I'd really appreciate you guys doing that. We've got 2 more shows to go. As always, at the Christmas time, we don't do a show between Christmas and New Year's. I think this year that's the 30th. So we'll do a show on the 23rd. Do a show, today's the 9th. So we'll do a show on the 16th, and then another show on the 23rd, and that'll be our last show for 2015. We'll come back in the first Wednesday in January. Folks, I thank you very much for listening to the show. I appreciate all the emails I've gotten over the past couple of weeks, especially after I had to cancel last week's show. I wasn't doing real good last week. I'm not doing great this week, but I'm doing better. There are times when I really need to come here and talk to you guys on Wednesday nights. And I hope I can find the energy in myself and the resources to continue to do this, because it's important for those folks like me who suffer from depression to have things to look forward to have events and to moments and things that I look forward to. And 95% of the time, I look forward to doing this right now with you guys, with the IRC folks, with the Bryans and the Monties and the Sherrys and the MacMans and the C-Platers and the Leshes and everyone who shows up. Whether you show up regularly, whether you show up once a month, I love seeing your names pop up in the IRC. So thanks very much to you folks in the IRC chat room. Huge thanks, as always, to Sly, who's been with me from the very, very beginning. I miss seeing you, Sly. I wish I could see you more. I hope your life is good. And if you listen to the archive, you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I appreciate you folks listening to the archive, too, because I get emails all during the week from folks who are asking questions or making comments or things like that. I can't always get to them during the show, but I appreciate and read every single email I get from the audience. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for listening to the show and supporting me in whichever ways you possibly can. Folks, that's it. I want to say thanks very much to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. I want to say thanks for you guys for being on the show, and want to say special thanks to Kim. I love you, and I miss you. Until next week, folks, as always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya.